Looking at the Markets with David Modell. Welcome to Looking at the Markets with David Modell. Today I've got a special guest that I've been looking forward to speaking to for a while now. He is Mr. Brian Paragamian, and he is associated with ProfessionalStockTraderLive.com. And Mr. Paragamian is a senior trader and co-founder at ProfessionalStockTraderLive.com. He has 33 years of trading experience. He's a veteran stock trader, and he can tell you all about the psychology of trading, how to avoid the pitfalls for beginners, and how to trade like a pro, utilizing his proven winning strategies. And we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about what he's bullish on, what he's bearish on, and maybe some technical analysis as well. We'll get into that. Mr. Paragamian, thank you so much for joining me today.
Appreciate you having me here, David.
Absolutely. So let's start with your background and how you came into all this knowledge that you've acquired over the last 33 years of experience. How did you get started in trading, and do you have any mentors you'd like to give a shout out to?
Well, I got started in trading when I was pretty much in high school, took an interest to the stock market, and just kind of figured I could outperform a CD back then. Some 33, 34 years ago, CDs were around 10%, and I just thought, hey, I could find a stock that went from 10 to 12, that would give me 20%, outperform the CD. So that's kind of how I got involved with it, and it just kind of grew from there. I found a broker to kind of teach me the ropes, so to speak, and he was just absolutely wonderful, and he laid the foundation to everything that I know right now. Obviously, I built upon what he taught me, but almost on a daily basis from the time I was 18, I'd be on the phone with him for hours talking about the stock market, putting trades in with him, and he would just be showing me different things to be looking for. So that's kind of really how things kind of evolved.
Sounds like a solid foundation for an amazing trading career that you've had. Now let's talk about what you have to offer with ProfessionalStockTraderLive.com. I'm going to put that link in the description, of course, as well as any contact information you might have. What are you offering right now? First of all, I hear there's a webinar coming up soon. Is that true?
Yeah, I've got a webinar that I'm going to be hosting on May 3rd and 4th, a 2-day webinar, and it's basically going to talk about technical analysis, and it's good for beginners to experienced traders. It's going to be a lot of foundation laying, a lot of talking about many of your basic technical formations, indicators, and things of that nature. And I'm also going to be talking about what I consider one of the most priceless ways I trade. I call it my secret weapon, and it's called the 10-minute game. And to me, it's really one of the most powerful day trading secrets around. I think it's priceless. I really consider it to be a game changer for day traders, and it's a way that just keeps you out of trouble, whether you want to look to short something or be a buyer of something. It keeps you in trades longer. And to be real honest with you, this technique that's proprietary to the way I trade has literally put hundreds of thousands of dollars of money into my members and seminar and webinar attendees. So I think it's just, I really believe it's something Wall Street doesn't want you to know about, and it's something that I've latched onto over the years, and to me it's truly a game changer.
Fantastic. You can never have enough secret weapons in this market. We all have to have an edge. I'm looking at ProfessionalStockTraderLive.com. There's so much on here to take advantage of. When people go onto this website, what are they going to see, and are there any special offers right now?
Well, as always, we do a 7-day free trial. And basically, in a nutshell, what ProfessionalStockTraderLive.com is I do a daily live broadcast of day trading, and you can see my computer screen through a WebEx platform, and you'll see different trades that I'm actually putting in real-time setting. You'll hear me call the trades out. You'll hear me walk through the analogy of the trade, run the stops, and you'll just see from start to completion on the trade. Also, we do a nightly closing video commentary that I do, where I kind of sum up the market, share some trading ideas, review any swing trades that we've got, and when we do initiate swing trades, we send out a swing trade alert email to let people know what we're doing, why we're doing it. entry price, potential objective, and stops. And also there's a section on there where we kind of talk about some investment ideas that we share, from blue chip type investment ideas all the way down to more speculative type of ideas.
Speaking of ideas, I want to talk about the markets where we're at right now. We've seen a little bit of weakness lately, but really we're only a couple of percentage points from the all-time high in the overall markets. What are you bullish on and bearish on right now for 2017?
Well, I think on a very near-term basis, I think the gold market can work itself higher in here. I am, as far as the market goes, I am looking for some more corrective activity to kind of seep into this market. I would probably say in this April-May time frame, it wouldn't surprise me to see maybe 7-10% max on the downside. Now, a lot of it has to do with obviously the geopolitical picture, what's going to happen between the United States and Syria, United States and Russia, what's going to come out of the Trump administration as far as healthcare goes. How about as far as tax reform goes? Is it going to be retroactive to this year, or is it going to maybe go into 2018? So barring something on a black swan event or something geopolitical, I really think 10% is going to really probably hold the downside here. But it's always subject to change, and that's what makes the market interesting. It's all about news flow and what's coming out on a particular day, or what's the news flow moving forward. So, but that kind of is where I'm thinking right now. 7 to 10% downside. I don't think all-time highs are going to be challenged anytime soon. I don't care what the news comes out. I don't think they're going to be challenged, or at least I should say I don't think they're going to be taken out to the upside. And I don't see anything really, at least right now, that I'm looking at that's going to allow this market to move to the upside in a sustainable manner. So I've actually been here over the past 3 to 4 weeks, actually been wanting to fade all rallies into any resistance levels, downtrend lines, moving average lines, and it's been working actually quite successfully at this juncture.
It sounds like you're taking a cautious approach right now. Frankly, I don't blame you. As far as hedging, we all need to hedge in some form or fashion. How do you hedge your trades, and how can retail traders avoid the pitfalls of black swan events?
Well, the way I try and hedge my portfolio is because I'm a futures trader, so I'll trade the S&P futures or the Nasdaq futures. I'll try and hedge myself a little bit by, as I say I'm doing, shorting into strength. If I've got some long-term core holdings, if I see strength in the overall market, I'll look to then sell an S&P future into strength, up into resistance, trend lines, things of that nature. If I've got some individual stocks and I'm particularly worried about, but yet I do want to hold them from a long-term basis, I might look to sell some covered calls up above, take some premium in. Otherwise, one can be looking at playing some of the ETFs from the bearish side, whether it be on the Nasdaq stock market or the Russell 2000. There's various ways of trading those from the bearish side, whether it be the TZA for the Russell 2000, or you can be looking at something in the Nasdaq arena that's on the bearish side as well, TECS Techs. That's a bearish way of playing some of the Nasdaq tech stocks. So there's various ETFs that you can try and hedge your portfolio with. But with anything, you always have to have a game plan and use stops and use them effectively. Use them to your advantage.
Absolutely. If you don't have your stops, then you're just you're asking for trouble, in my opinion. And although, disclaimer, we're not recommending on this video, we're not recommending any that anybody buy or sell anything in particular. This is not a recommendation for trades, but I know that if people want to get all the details, they're going to have to check out your webinar, and they're going to have to go to professionalstocktraderlive.com. But you mentioned TZA. Is there anything else that you're just feeling bullish on right now, or is there anything people really need to avoid?
Well, I think you need to avoid really. I'd say you need to avoid just being long the S&P futures. I think a lot of the FANG stocks, the Facebook, the Apple, the Netflix, the Google, I think those are quite vulnerable. I think I think the NASDAQ composite in general is vulnerable. It looks like it's a very topping pattern, and on a percentage basis, heading back towards, say, some of the key moving average lines, like, say, the 200-day moving average, it's got more to go on the downside if we're going to see everything kind of evolve and gravitate down to the 200-day moving average. But I do think a lot of the FANG stocks, I think they've had a heck of a run in here, and I think they're due for pullback activity. As far as being bullish, I do like a small spec stock that's not for a short-term basis or anything like that, but just more of an investment, more of a spec type investment, so to speak. And the name of the company is called LightPath Technologies, and the ticker symbol is LPTH. I actually started buying this stock in the fall time here in the $1.50-ish area. It's currently around 256. Recently, it traded on up to 3.25 plus, so it's pulled back some 70 cents or so. But I really do like that company. Just to give you kind of a little background, they design, develop, manufacture, and distribute optical components and assemblies. There's roughly about 24 million shares outstanding, about 19 million in the float, of which 6% are roughly short. Just a week ago or so, I believe it was April 6th, they won a large contract. They've got strong fundamentals. Their last 2 quarters have been solid. It's more of a turnaround type play, but everything is really solid there. They actually closed an acquisition 4 months ago or so. That's accretive to the books. So I really, really like that company, and I think anywhere. I think it's a gift if you get this back down around the $2 level. I don't know that you can get it back down around 2, but just kind of looking at the charts, I might want to say somewhere around the 230-ish area, somewhere in the 230-ish area plus minus. I'd be really comfortable buying, and I've actually been starting to nibble back in this thing here over the past day or two. So technically, if it starts breaking down below its 20-day moving average, simple moving average, that comes in at 253. You might see a little flush on down towards the 50-day moving average. That comes in at 230. And especially if you get continued weakness in the overall market, I think this here might find its way down maybe into some of those support levels that we talked about. So that's on the more spec side, and I really do like LightPath Technologies from a longer-term perspective. And I think, quite frankly, potentially, the stock is a double. Can't tell you when, but it's my opinion. I think it's a double, and I think the risk reward is excellent for LightPath Technologies.
LPTH, I like it. Actionable advice. Again, not a recommendation to buy or sell, but I'm looking at that chart right now, actually, and that's looking very bullish to me. I like it a lot. Again, this is I'm thinking a longer-term play, or how long would you hold on to that?
Yeah, I'm looking. I'd probably say it's something I have a 12 to 18 month time horizon on, because I think they're just really starting to turn things here, and I think they're in a real interesting space, and I think it's somewhat undiscovered, the company. So I think once you start getting it up and through the $5 level, that'll start bringing in some more institutions into it.
I like it a lot. I want to talk about the emotions of trading. Such a problem for so many people. How can we share some techniques or ideas on how to avoid the one problem that plagues so many retail traders: buying at the top, selling at the bottom? How can we avoid that?
Well, I'm going to tell you what, and that's a great question, because you're right. So many retail traders have that problem, and believe it or not, my 10-minute game, which I think is an absolute secret weapon and game changer, that will avoid or prevent people from buying at the top, shorting at the bottom, and it's really mind-blowing because I've actually shown this here to some professional traders, and when I show them this here, they're like, I can't believe how well this works. It doesn't always work, and it's not something that I always use, but it's just another one of those tools that I've got in my arsenal, that when it's time to bring it out and when it's time to help manage a trade management, stop management, I bring it out and I use it, and it's just absolutely, it's a game changer. I can't say it enough. It is absolutely a game changer. But what I will say this here is, that I've come across a lot of day traders in my years, and not enough people treat day trading, I should say, as a business. You have to treat it as a business. Right. And once you treat it as a business, you then have to obviously become educated on your business, i.e. you have to learn the technical formations, the technical indicators, how to properly use them, and then you have to have the right mindset, the psychology. You have to, in order to be a consistently profitable day trader, you have to have the right mindset. And what works into all that is treating it like a business, being educated, and developing a methodology on how you want to trade. I trade the same way. It doesn't matter whether I trade a stock, whether I trade the S&P futures, whether I trade a commodity, and I basically trade all the commodities at some juncture throughout the year. I use the same methodology for getting in trades and out of trades. It doesn't matter. It's the same thing in and out. And then you got to have focus and commitment. You have to understand that, at least in my world, there is no option for failure. There is no option for second place. If you're in second place when you're a day trader and you're dealing with Wall Street, guess what? You've got a portfolio that's going to go down to zero. And once you have those, you then have to have the patience. So many day traders I know don't have patience. You have to have the patience. Sometimes I won't make a trade for a day, 2 days, maybe even 3 days. I don't force a trade. I wait for the proper technical setup, whether it be on the daily, on the weekly, on the monthly, on a lower time frame that I'm looking at, break it down to the hourly, break it down to some even lower time frames. I just wait for the proper setup. And I think then once you get into a trade, you have to have the discipline to let the trades play themselves on out. You can't force a stock to do or a day trade to do what you want it to do. You just have to simply have the patience and discipline to try and let the trades play themselves out, and then manage them the proper way through effective stop management. And that's where my 10-minute games comes into play also as well, and that I will be talking about on the webinar May 3rd and 4th. But I think that's another thing that most day traders don't use is effective stop management. They feel like something goes up a little bit, hey, I'm going to just take the profit, but when something starts to go down, they decide they might want to take a loss. Or in fact, what a lot of them do, they over position size, they over leverage, and on the smallest move down, they bail. So it's also position sizing that plays a big role. And then one of the other most important things is proper risk reward ratio. I always, at a bare minimum, have a 2-to-1 risk reward ratio, and typically I like to have 3-to-1. But if I've got at least a 2-to-1 risk reward ratio, I'm putting myself in a great situation, and I only need to hit 33% of my trades to just break even.
Right. You've touched upon so many important issues there for day traders and all traders and investors. Patience, discipline, having a reasonable position size in every trade, having a reasonable risk-reward ratio. These are such important things to learn about. I can't wait for your webinar. It's going to be fantastic. I'm looking forward to it so much. Just one more question, if I may. Wanted to talk about gold for a minute, because I know that both of us alike are cautious on the markets right now. Gold, should people be stacking the physical stuff? Should we be going into ETFs? And right now gold is approaching $1,300 per ounce. Do you have a possible projected price target for gold right now?
Well, I think on the very near-term basis, I think we're going to go test out 1,300. Like you said, we're pretty much knocking on the door at close basis. The June futures around 1,290. So I think if nothing else, we're going to go hunt and try and run some stops up above 1,300. I would probably say that the 1320-ish, 1330-ish area might act as a little resistance, and then I think a lot of it, at least on a short-term basis, and then I think a lot of it's going to have to do with what's going on with the market in general, because oftentimes when the market's moving lower, gold becomes a safe haven. So I think a lot's going to have to depend upon what the overall market's doing, but I also think it's going to be critical to pay attention to what the dollar is doing, because as the dollar has been starting to soften here over the past couple of days, we're starting to see now gold push up and through the 200-day moving average and starting to press towards the 1300 level. So I can't say I've got a longer term type of target because I'm more of a shorter term type of a player. But I do think here on a nearer term basis, I think we're going to go test out 1300 and go try and maybe trade towards the 1320, 1330 area, something like that.
And are you a stacker? Do you hold the physical, or do you trade it online with let's say GLD or IAU or something like that?
Well, I think the GLD, is works just fine. I personally trade the gold futures because you don't have to put up as much money, and in fact, you get more leverage trading the gold futures. But I think the GLD will track the futures, and that'll work just fine.
Sounds reasonable to me. Now, just wanted to finish up with, once again, your contact information and website. I know the website is professionalstocktraderlive.com. You've got a webinar coming up, and I'll put all that information in the description. But if people wanted to contact you for more information or just to tap into your market wisdom and insight, how can they do that?
They can call me directly. I'd be more than happy to speak with anyone about anything. My number is 262-939-3563.
Fantastic. That's generous of you to offer that up to the people. Again, I'll put that in the description for anybody who would like that. And I don't know why people would not take advantage of not only the webinar, but the 7-day free trial on professionalstocktraderlive.com. Something to check out. And again, you can always rewind this video to get that information. Check the description, and I believe it was LPTH. Am I right? That's the ticker. That
is correct.
That is possibly set to explode in the near future. I'll be looking at that very carefully. Brian, I really appreciate your time today. You've given me so much to think about. Thank you so much for coming on today.
David, I appreciate the opportunity, and I look forward to having another interview with you in the future.
Awesome. Thank you, sir.